Good afternoon, members. Once again, you're most welcome to our Facebook page. This is Open Doors for Children International, and we are coming live from Uganda, here in Kampala Central Division, in Kampala Capital State. We are honored to share this with you, our community, our partners, the various stakeholders within the communities. We are honored to have you all on this page. Because of you, that's the reason as to why we do exist. And before we go any further, I would like to appreciate those who have partnered with us in the past years, in the past months. We are so humbled. Yeah, you have really changed a lot in the children's lives, and you have also eased our you have also eased our work in providing the various activities, in providing the various services that we do to reach out to the various communities. I would like us to address ourselves on today's topic, which is about the children's well-being and vulnerability. Indeed, children in the various communities where we come from, depending or basing on the laws that are governing those particular communities, children are looked at differently. Take, for instance, in Uganda, children are regarded to be between the age of 0 to 18. And in other countries, children are looked at as being in the age group between 0 to 16. But this does not differentiate the fact that they all remain children. However much the particular laws that try to govern here and there, but a child remains a child. Children are affected the same. A child in Africa, a child in America, a child in India, a child in Asia, a child in Europe, they are all affected the same. And the problems that affect these children are more or less the same. If we are to be in position to help our communities to develop, what we have to interest ourselves more in is the mere fact of that we have to take care of these children to help them overcome the particular problems that they could be facing in the communities. Children in the various communities where we come from, they are affected with a number of problems, some of which could come from single parenthood, being orphans, the political wars, and some other policies that are put forth by the governments in the various communities. But here at Open Doors for Children International, we do look at children as being important to the various communities. If you want to develop your country or a community, what we should interest ourselves more in is the responsibility of taking care of the children. Some of the measures of children well-being is education. In fact, here I try to indicate only 3 items, as in how we, the parents, and the community leaders, the political leaders, religious leaders, as of how can we be of great importance in offering the children the good health that they desire to have, or how can we be in position to create that environment that can be in position to help these children to grow and develop into reasonable and important people within the communities where we hail from. Now, I indicated three terms that we can try to discuss about. One is education, then the second one, social lives and participation. Under education, I'm trying to look at helping these children attain the basic education. Someone who is educated, someone who is given the opportunity to go to school, those people are in position to change communities. When you educate a community, an educated community can be in position to develop as compared to a community whereby the people who live within that community are not educated. So here at Open Doors for Children International, we look at education as being a great resource for developing our communities. As stakeholders, as parents, we shouldn't deny the children this great opportunity of them attaining education. I call upon the government and the religious leaders that other things can wait. Other things can wait. Take, for instance, constructing roads, among others. Those other things can wait. But educating a community, educating the citizens, this is a key aspect that should be handled with great care. If these children are not educated, then why are we constructing the roads? Why should we construct the roads when these children are not educated? Of what importance would these roads be to an educated community? I guess you understand. Because now, if the children are not educated, for instance, how will they be in position to engage themselves in business if you do not have the basics in education? So I would like ourselves to look at educating the children as being of great importance to the various communities where we come from. Two, I looked at social lives. Social lives, this in particular, I'm looking at how these children are looked after within the various communities where we come from. I'll use a simple example. There lived a man, a rich man. He was a very rich man to the extent that he used to help the community members. But he forgot one thing. He never educated his children. And here comes a scenario whereby one morning this man happens to pass away. He had not trained the children how to handle the businesses. He had not trained even the woman how to handle the businesses that he was engaging himself in. When this rich man was buried, he was buried with his wisdom. He was buried with his wealth. The children that he had left behind, they could not be in position to take care of the businesses that their father had left behind. Little did this person know that at one point he would pass away, he would die, and he would leave behind the children languishing and the poor woman languishing. So as parents, I would like us to take more importance. We should value the social relationships in line to educating the children. By you, the parent, taking your child, or I will use the same example of the other rich man. Assuming you have a business, you should be in position to create some ample time. You go with your children to those various businesses. These children are in position to interact with other people, and from that interaction, they can also be in position to gain some knowledge to empower themselves. In that, even when you're not around, when you're gone, these children still, they will be in position to use those relationships, those various people that you introduced them to run the businesses and to gain more knowledge about how to run the various businesses. The third item that I indicated is participation. Participation is a great resource. If a child is encouraged by the parents to participate in the decisions that are conducted within the various homes, then this child, trust me, he'll grow up an upright person, someone who can be in position to argue out ideas, someone who can be in position to reason and bring life back to something that could have been dead. But if a child is denied that opportunity of taking part in the decisions at the level of the family, then this particular child will not be in a position to impact more in the near future. So as parents, I call upon you, the parents, that in such times when we are all at home, we should always give our children the opportunity to also engage themselves in the decisions that we do conduct within the various homes at our families where we stay. Childhood. So before I continue, I indicated to you that there are three measures of children well-being. One is education, two is social lives, and three is participation. Once we perform well in these three areas, then it will indicate that we are doing a great job in raising a good community, in developing our communities at large. So we shall move to the next level. Childhood is arguably the most vulnerable period of human life. That's true. At childhood, the children are the most vulnerable within the communities. Remember, a child is a dependent. This child depends on the parents. This child depends on the elders, on the leaders within the community. But the elders, instead, they are not more vulnerable as compared to the children. The children are more vulnerable because the adult can be in position to decide of which person to depend on or which person not to depend on. But for the child's case, you do not have any option. One, if he's not your parent, then your relatives, then teachers, of which you do not have any choice. But instead, you have to follow what the leaders tell you. So as stakeholders, as politicians, as religious leaders, I call upon everyone in the community that we should take much interest in looking at the way how children are being handled in their tender years. These children are vulnerable at such a point, and if they are not given the basics, then they lose out. That's why we are seeing increase in street children all over the streets. In all the developed countries, the children are becoming more and more on the streets. Why? Because we have failed to deliver. We as the stakeholders, we as the parents, we are not handling these children with great care. But if these children are given the basics, then they can be in position to develop into important and resourceful people within our communities. Now, Having looked at the three measures of how to help the children on how to develop or create a well-being for the children. Now, how do we improve the child's well-being? How do we improve these children who are vulnerable? How do we help the children at our homes, in our communities? Of what importance are we to them? How do we impact in their lives? One, we look at physical activity. We very well know that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So I'm looking at physical activity as one of the ways on how to improve the child's well-being. By us allowing our children to take part in these activities, the co-curriculars, playing football, singing, among others. In that, we as parents, we shall be in position to improve the child's well-being in our homes and in our communities at large. Two, technology time. How can we improve the children's well-being using technology? I know technology has taken over the whole community. And very many people, very many children at their tender age, they have smartphones, they have laptops, which is not bad. It is very good for them to be in position to use these gadgets at their tender age. However, how much time are you leaving these children? How much time are you giving these children to use the technology available? Do you leave them to use the gadgets the whole day, even throughout the whole night? Or there is a particular timetable of how these children are using the internet? So as parents, I call upon you that you should take an interest on how long the children are using the technology. At least design a timetable whereby at least maybe from morning, like for 2 hours, someone can be using the internet. Then thereafter, they engage in other activities like playing football, singing, those other things, and also doing the housework. Through this, you're improving the well-being of the child, because the child will be in position to develop psychologically and also to be in position to reason rightful ideas. The third aspect is sleep. Sleep is very important. So we should encourage our children to sleep at least. You shouldn't bar your child from taking a sleep. This is very important, as in sleeping helps the children to refresh and also to gain more to be in position to refresh. Now, the fourth is positive relationships. Positive relationships. So you as a parent and a positive relationship, you shouldn't be like a soldier at home. These children are young, so we should handle them with great care. Instead of coming back at home and barking at them, doing what? At least we should be in position to guide these children. We become more of like their brothers, their sisters. Though we are parents, but we shouldn't bark at them. It's better to always sit down with these children and you show them the bad side of something that they have been doing, and also how these children can be in position to overcome the problems that they could be facing. So by guiding them, it would be of great importance in improving their well-being. We shall look at how to help the families with their vulnerabilities. We very well know that a family is the smallest unit within the community. And if you want to create any impact within the community, you have to take keen interest within the family. Now, if we forget about the families, we are creating a vulnerable community. And if we are forgetting about the communities, we are creating still a vulnerable society and country at large, whereby the people in the communities will be dependent on the leaders. And yet remember, if we create an empowered family, an empowered community, an empowered society, these are the countries that develop. So by us taking keen interest in the families, we are creating a sphere. We are creating an opportunity for our countries, our communities to develop. So how do we help these families with vulnerabilities? By if we are interested in creating the families, in helping the families to overcome the vulnerabilities that they could be facing, I came up with this approach of we should be in position to use the family-centered approach. How do we use the family-centered approach? In social work, for those who have had the opportunity to study social work, in social work, there is in the book of Higan, in the elements of social work, Higan talks about a client being more informed about the problem that they could be facing. So by us using a family-centered approach, we are looking at the families as our clients. And now, by looking at the families as our clients, it means that they very well know the problems that they are facing. And in this case, they could even be having some ways or some ideas of how to overcome these problems. So now, as social workers, we come in to guide these families on how to overcome the problems that they could be facing in their families, in the communities at large, and the societies. All families are different, and support works best when you understand each family's individual goals, expectations, values, and everyday life. As I've indicated that families are different, and families have different goals, expectations, values, and aspirations of everyday life. Now, as social workers, we should take keen interest in, first of all, assessing the families. We first assess what is it that these families are facing, of what impact is this problem, of what degree is it greatly affecting the families and the children at large. After assessing and identifying the problem, now we sit down with the families. We draw a work plan about the various sessions that we can be in position to use to design ways on how to mitigate the problems that they could be facing at their levels in the communities. And after that, through those various sessions, we can be in position to to come up with guidelines, with solutions to overcome the problems that the families could be facing. Now, as stakeholders, as leaders, as politicians, we should at this point value the resource that we have in our communities. We have very many graduates, we have very many social workers who have mastered these things. So now, by engaging these social workers, we can be in position to develop our communities. Social workers are of great importance in the communities. The other aspect on how to help these families with to overcome their vulnerability, to overcome their vulnerabilities, is that parents always know their children and their family best. This is true. Parents always know their families best. And by us using the other approach of the family-centered approach, we can be in position to get more information from the parents, the dad, the father, the mother, and the children. And we use this to come up with measures, with solutions to mitigate the problems that the families could be facing. All families have strength, and we learn and grow best when we use our strengths. At first, I told you that the clients are the experts of their own problems. And as social workers, we believe that these clients, they have solutions already in their mind. But they only lack how to be guided to use the particular solution that they could be having, for them to be in position to put them into practice. Now, as social workers, when we come in at this point, we enable these people, we empower them. You tell them that, look, my client, you already have this solution. What if we use plan A and plan B? Can't we be in a position to overcome this problem? Now the client tells you, oh, I have this. That means that we can be in a position to use these available resources that we have to overcome the problems. So families have strength, and we learn and grow best when we use our strength. Yes, we learn and grow best when we use our own strength. Take note of that. Children's well-being and development depends on the well-being of all other family members and of the family as a whole. Remember, as I was starting, I talked about the 3 measures that I came up with on how to enable the children have an improved well-being. Under these, I looked at education, social lives, and participation. Now, at this point, when we look at children's well-being and development, depending on the well-being of all other family members, I believe you know that we are now looking at social lives. You see? So we are looking now at social lives. Now, it is of great importance that we should have a working relationship within the families, between the parents, the children, the relatives. We should have that close working relationship. For the children who are like to have families, the parents should create this relationship between the children and the parents. We should not have wars between the families. We should have a common understanding. We should have a peaceful environment whereby the parents are in position to share ideas with their children, whereby the children can suggest ideas in the process of decisions that are taken within the families. Okay? By us valuing all the circles within the families, we can be in position to create a peaceful and able working environment between the family, between all the parties within the families. So parents, we should take keen interest in the relationships within the families. How do we value the relationships, our relationships within the families? And by us using that, we create a good relationship, we create a good environment for our children. Then for the case of the children who could not have the chance of having the families, it's the very reason why we decided to come up with Open Doors for Children International. Open Doors for Children International is an organization whereby we take keen interest in the children. We believe that at Open Doors for Children International, it's a home, it's a family setting whereby children come from various places, from various societies, and we incorporate them in this organization. Now, what do we do at Open Doors for Children International to enable these children develop and grow into resourceful people in the community? What we do, we value education as key. So we take these children through the early childhood training programs, teaching them and also providing the formal teachings. 2, we value social lives. Social lives, remember, they are coming from various communities. Now, here at Open Doors for Children International, we have groups whereby we have like, I will use an example of the alphabetical letters, like Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D. And in these various groups, they are children. Remember, they are coming from various communities. But now, for us to be in a position to create the social lives, we enable these children to interact by giving them activities that give them the opportunity to interact, to reason out, And we also have co-curricular activities whereby we encourage our children to take part in the athletics, football. We have the football academy. So we use these various avenues at Open Doors for Children International to enable these children to develop into resourceful people for our community. Family well-being depends on the quality of informal social support and availability of formal support services. Now, today's program has been majorly about, we had our topic about children's well-being and vulnerability. And under this, we identified 3 key measures on how to measure the children's well-being and vulnerability. And we looked at education as being key, social lives as being key, and also participation as being key. So these 3 things are key in measuring the well-being of the children and the vulnerability that they could face within the community. If these three are looked at and taken as being serious, then we can be in position to develop, we can be in position to enable the children develop into good and resourceful people within the communities where we hail from. Members, community leaders, politicians, religious leaders, parents, children, I mean children. The children they are our responsibility. We as the political leaders, the community leaders and religious leaders, and the parents at large. So we should take keen interest in helping the children in our communities. If we are to have good and resourceful leaders, resourceful people for our communities in the future. Two, we should be in position to design good programs for these children that are developing, that are engaging, that enable these children to participate with others and also take part in decision within the families. Thank you so much for following me. Thank you so much for taking keen interest in Open Doors for Children International. We are here to provide services to our children, to the community, to the vulnerable children in particular. We call upon the community members, the political leaders, world wishers, and those who are in position to provide for the children that you can join us. You can join Open Doors for Children International for us to be in position to support the children. Like our page here at Facebook, Open Doors for Children International. Share our page with friends, with relatives, with community leaders. Tell them about the availability of Open Doors for Children International and about what we do as Open Doors for Children International. Thank you so much. I remain yours, Andrew Malala, coming live from Open Doors for Children International. Kindly share this video. Thank you.